Hi, everybody. Welcome to our second guest of the Hello 2020 online retreat, Candice Lapointe. Candice lives in Huron County, like myself, in Ontario, so she was able to come be here in person. So thanks for making the trip. It's like definitely a snowy day out there, so she had to chip off some ice to get here. Hopefully it's worth it. And yeah, Candice was just here and we got to breathe together with Dr. Ariana in the heart, and it was so great. So Candice, one of my dearest friends, honestly, just such a another one of those things, like English doesn't really put it, just such good vibes, to say the least. And Candice is going to talk to us about the importance of cultivating a morning ritual, which is amazing because yesterday maybe, or recently, I woke up and I was like, wow, I have no morning routine. My morning routine is non-existent. And I just feel like when you start your day like that, you're just always like catching up, or and I really kind of caught myself and said, you know what? I need some kind of morning routine. And then Candice messaged me and said, I want to talk about the importance of having a morning routine. So needless to say, I'm excited for this. And as always, if you have questions for myself, well, not really, you won't really have questions for me, but if you have questions for Candice, if you had a question for me, sure. But for Candice, I'm checking out the comments on YouTube and Facebook. So pop them in there. And yeah, welcome, Candice.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Shannon. And happy 2020, everybody. Really wanted to say thank you to Shannon for putting this all together and giving us a space for, some creativity, inspiration. And thank you, Ariana, for the meditation. It was amazing. And I just feel so centered and grounded here coming into my session. So wanted to thank you both. Thank you. So my name's Candice, and I'm a mama to a 2.5-year-old. Her name's Rhea. We call her Rhea Sunshine. And I have my bachelor in social science from the University of Ottawa, majoring in criminology and minoring in Aboriginal studies. And I'm currently the program coordinator at a yoga school, David Tree School of Yoga. So Shannon invited me to this retreat, and I have to admit that it was hard to think about what I wanted to speak. I felt so honored to be able to be here, but at the same time, I was like, I felt myself on this spiral of self-doubt. So thinking things like, what do I have to offer? Will people even care about what I'm saying? And that sort of thing. And so I thought, you know what? One morning it came to me and I said, this is exactly what I'm going to talk about, is the practice of morning ritual and how to shift those perspectives. So a lot of the times we see ourselves heading into these thought patterns. And so I thought, you know what, this is going to be my accountability too, right? So the first thing that I wanted to start off with was that I'm wearing this shirt, and it's totally intentional. It says Normalize Boredom. So I thought that this was a really key piece in going into this whole conversation about morning ritual. So exactly what we're talking about. We find ourselves all the time now, we're just go, go, go. And so Shannon said, and I'm sure you'll be fine with me sharing this, is
always.
that, waking up in the morning and the first thing that we're doing is turning over to our nightstand and grabbing our cell phone. And
my instinct right now literally was just like, is someone texting me? Like, I almost just reached for my phone right now.
So I thought, when was the last time that I actually had the space to be bored? Because I feel like we were just so on the go all the time. And so our reaction is initially when we wake up is to just connect to all of that, to connect to our emails, to social media, to news and all of that stuff. So I thought, you know what, this is the first thing that we're talking about, is giving ourselves that space in the morning time to set our intentions for the day and to practice that ritual. So that morning ritual. So in the morning time, thinking about giving yourself that extra space. And so, like I mentioned, I'm a mama of 2. And so that is super difficult for me. It can be challenging to wake up early enough to beat my daughter in terms of waking up before her, but also just, if I can get that extra sleep, I want that extra sleep. So that is my intention for this year, 2020, is to wake up earlier, to have the time and space to have this ritual. So that's the first thing that I wanted to mention. And the second thing is, I wouldn't be able to talk about morning ritual without talking about evening and bedtime ritual. So thinking, of course, about this whole social media piece again too, and knowing to turn off or back off of our social media presence or our using of phones. So they say that you should perhaps not look at your phone or any sort of screen time directly before bedtime, perhaps even 2 hours before bedtime, which can be really challenging for everybody. But I wanted to mention that as something to try and practice and honor going into sleep. And I know that Shannon's talked about dreams and sleep already today and how we're probably really active in our dream states. But sleep is so important. And so, of course, if we can get the sleep that we need, the morning ritual, the waking up, it will feel easier, of course, right? So wanted to speak to that first because, it's so important to get that restful sleep. And so the next thing that I wanted to speak about was creating that space in your house or where you're living or where you're present to have this ritual. So currently, I'm using my basement, and but keeping it cozy and set up with the stuff that you enjoy and feel connected to, and that you vibrate with. So this could be things like a salt lamp, plants, crystals. So really honing in on that space that you feel comfortable in and have that enjoyment in. So thinking and reflecting on the things that make you happy, connected. And so for me, that means my plants. That means salt lamps. That means my diffuser on and putting essential oils on and really getting into that space. So carving out that space. One of my favorite authors, Richard Wagamese, talks a lot about morning ritual. And so that can even be what he talks about a lot is his living room table. So literally just waking up and going to his living room table, and there he's got all of the things that he uses for morning ritual. So,
and I love, can we share the book? Because I love that
please.
You brought this in because this is an amazing book. And this was actually what kind of started me feeling like I need a morning routine, because I've never been a morning person. If you asked me like a year ago, I'd say I hate mornings. Like night times are better. But part of what he does is he wakes up early. He's no longer in physical. He's passed away, but he wakes up and that's his sacred time.
Yes.
Am I right? Anyways, 100%. This book is really amazing. But
and also another thing to share about this book is that he talks about morning ritual and goes on, and it has its beautiful images and meditations.
And the words are just
he's
incredible.
Gifted. So that was one thing that I like, creating that space. Is a great container to start off your day. And so that is, again, thinking about all the things that bring you enjoyment. So thinking about if there's a particular, it's all about awareness and slowing down and really being intentional with everything. So totally. So, it's brewing that favorite tea that you enjoy and putting it in a mug that you enjoy. It's, putting the essential oils that you like on. And so one thing that I have found really helpful, so far this year in 2020, I got this another book.
Can you stay here for a second?
Yeah, sure. I got this book, Simple Abundance, by Sarah Ben Breathnock, Shannon. Anyways, yeah. And so it goes day by day, just little reflections. And I've been carving out space every morning. I've been carving out space every morning to read the passages for the day. So again, really just thinking about what it is that you enjoy and find meaningful, and a space where you can change, not change, but start your day off on a path that you feel is going to set. It can be mood changing, it can be uplifting. So really thinking about taking the intention of carving out time for that. And
I think for me too, because I'm like, I just have I have this weird relationship with structure where it's like I want to rebel against it, but then I miss it and I need it. And so for me, like I just started small with like I'll have lemon water in the morning. Like I'll just have lemon water in the morning. And for a while, some days it'd be like I'm checking my emails while I'm drinking my lemon water, but I'm still drinking my lemon water. And now even yesterday I stopped myself because I had my lemon water and I was gonna go to do like this something. And then I thought, like where I like to sit right beside us is like a window seat. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit in the window seat. And it was uncomfortable at first because I was thinking about what I should do, but it felt really powerful to draw boundaries with myself and say, no, this is important.
And so that was another thing that I was going to say as well, is that setting yourself up can be very simple, like at first can be very simple, right? Because you don't want it to feel overwhelming. Because I think that when we wake up and we feel that something is overwhelming or daunting, then obviously we're going to be more likely to just throw it out the window. So exactly, something like lemon water in the morning and just giving yourself a little bit of space is perfect to start off with. And of course, as we go along, it turns into this thing that perhaps maybe you have more things that you'd like to include into your daily morning ritual. Another thing that I really wanted to share that I have brought into my morning ritual is dry brushing. So I thought this was kind of funny to bring on. But for those of you that don't know about dry brushing, this is just it's a brush with some natural thistles. Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Anyways, and what you are to do is before showering to dry brush your whole body. So this is again another thing about awareness and intentionality. So thinking about loving up your body really is what I think about it as, and like honoring my body and also giving some love. So before I go into the shower every day, I use this brush and I dry brush my skin. And so they say to start brushing from the bottom and you're brushing up to your heart. So not only is the dry brush sloughing off dry skin cells, but you're also helping with blood flow. And so this is another thing about, again, I think that's my point, is to be intentional, to slow down and to be aware. So thinking about, your body as you dry brush, right? So you're not just like dry brushing. You're slowly and methodically brushing your body, and it goes down to like the steps of everything. So even your morning ritual could be in your shower as well, like washing your hair or putting the lotion on your body, right? You're not just slapping lotion on your body, like you're actually putting lotion on your body. So I wanted to say that like we all have the capability of this, because it's so obviously it's accessible. You get to choose how much you want to put into your morning ritual. And again, starting off small so that you don't feel the overwhelm, but it literally can be anything that you want. It's all about what is meaningful to you. It's about having that awareness and slowing down to make that time for yourself. So personally, I know that when I have the time in the morning and I wake up and I have my morning ritual going on, the rest of my day just seems to flow so much better. And I feel like I am maybe in a better mindset as well. That, when things come to me that are difficult, I have a better way of dealing with it and processing it. When I wake up in the morning and the first thing that I'm seeing is my social media, my news, what have you, I just have this instant feeling of discomfort, and it's hard to then step out into the world and deal with everything else going on when you've already started off your day like that. So it's so important to start off with a space that you feel some gratitude, that you recognize your self-worth and all of that good stuff. So really taking those keys and points into the rest of your day. So
it's so awesome too, because if you think about it, I know I talked a lot about this morning, but there's such these monumental shifts happening, and there's so much changing that it can feel so overwhelming, right? It can feel and so even like before I was saying with the heart coherence, it's so simple, but exactly what you're saying too is so simple to just like take a moment. And for me, someone who's like busier is better. If I'm busy, I'm successful. Like I'm recovering from that, but I'm hardwired that way for so much that now, and I love that you're talking about this, because I feel like I needed it. So maybe it's just for me, but maybe you guys are out there too, and you're like, I needed it too. In which case, let us know. Because it's so true. It's all, it really just, and I also just kind of want to say, like, it almost feels like it's contagious in a way. And why I want to say that is because when you got this book and you posted it, and then I had this book on my shelf. It was actually like my mom's book. My aunt gave it to her like years ago, and I had it. And then when I saw Candice was reading it, I was like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it too. And so there's this whole sense of like, when we see others doing something that feels, or when we see someone else like in our lives who just feel really grounded or stable, or like, and Candice totally is that. Like you, whenever I come to you, you always are like just this really solid energy. And so now to hear that you have this routine, it makes sense to me, because you are such like a pillar. And so when we are that pillar, even with just some simple, like, just take a deep breath. Maybe you just wake up and you say one deep breath, and that's just how you start. Oh, from over here, I just want to say it makes a difference to others. Like, it really makes a ripple effect. And your energy's made a difference to me, even though we weren't talking about this. Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, no, it all makes sense.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because, again, like you said, it can be as simple in the morning as just taking that big breath, that deep breath in the morning time. Again, it's so interesting to know that it is that sort of what am I trying to say here? That when you see one person doing it, the other, it's almost like gravitational pull to.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because we are really seeing these themes, and I'm thinking that that's exactly what this day is all about. Like, I'm seeing things of like spiraling inward and connection, collective, and so I think that if we can come to a space where we honor ourselves and we are grounded, centered, have these rituals, then we can then go out and have impacts on other people too, right? So it's so important for us to take care of the home first and then be able to go out.
Totally. And what also is coming to my mind too is what I was saying, and I think one of the earlier broadcasts about how time, like, we've lived in this world where time has had this really big stronghold on us, and it's been a big way that Earth's been organized. But now we're coming into this whole connected living, this whole energetic living, the spiral, like within the pyramid, my doodle from before. And it's this whole like, yes, we can say we're busy. Yes, we can say we don't have time, but we can reclaim that from our time, and we can reclaim it and say, wait a minute, I'm powerful. I deserve 1 minute, right? And then maybe we'll see, oh, the world didn't collapse from 1 minute. Maybe I can have 5 minutes. Maybe I can have half an hour, maybe. And so I really feel like it's also this way of almost like a revolutionary act, carving out time for ourselves, because the systems of our world that are no longer necessarily supported from an energetic perspective, but are still very present in our lives because they're still here. The more we can embrace those energetic selves, I think by really reclaiming our time is huge.
You're so right, Shannon. And that's a really great point, is that this whole idea of busyness is not necessarily like top notch anymore, right? So we're seeing people really fall apart by being committed to too much. So again, having that morning practice to reflect on what is important to you, what you're okay with letting go of too. I think it's just like having that space for reflection and self-gratitude and all of that good stuff is really amazing.
And I also really recommend this book. Like, I can't recommend it enough. You almost just like, it just has an energy of itself when like you read it.
Yeah, let me just
powerful.
Read like the different chapters of this book: stillness, harmony, trust, reverence, persistence, gratitude, joy. Like, I'm just like, I love this. I love this book too.
I love that book too.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Candice,
Thank
from
you.
our comments.
Everybody.
Thanks everybody who's commenting. It sounds like it's resonating a lot. Thanks, Devin and Haley, Ashley, Kelly. Thank you for all being here. This is so awesome. Thank you, Candice, for driving and chipping the ice off her car and being here. And like I said, I'll be sending out an email with how you can stay connected with everybody. Candice is in the Facebook group. Candice is on Facebook, so make sure to say hi if you want to. Don't have to. But Candice loves friends.
Yeah.
She loves people just like me. That's why we get along. So yeah, thanks everybody. And up next, I believe, is Dr. Laura Hughes. So we'll be back in 10 minutes. So thanks everybody.
Thank you. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Shannon.
You're welcome.